Hey guys, what's up? This is LGS. I'm now back with another deck profile. This time is deck profile of the all new, well, sort of new, set 15 Blue Storm Karma Dragon Maelstrom Reverse. So in set 15, Aqua Force Maelstrom has been corrupted by the evil power of the Link Joker and has been reversed. And also in set 15, we finally get to see a sub-clan support for Aqua Force called the Blue Storm, also known as the Blue Storm Armada. So, for those of you who don't know, Aqua Force is a very interesting clan that has a really unique specialty, which focuses on rearguards as well as focusing on breaking up rearguard columns into achieving multiple attacks in one turn. So the reason for having multiple attacks is to unlock some of the skills that requires the number of attacks. For example, some skills only activate if it is the fourth attack. Some skills only activate if it is the third, fifth, first or second attack, etc., etc. So hence, playing Aqua Force requires you to, number one, plan your field setup really well, and number two, plan your attack order really well. Although, as some of you may have noticed, it is a very rearguard reliant deck, and decks that screws with your field are really bad against Aqua Force. But anyways, so as I mentioned, it requires a lot of field setup as well as proper attack order. And so for this deck, at the end of the video, I will be talking about some of the field setup you can achieve, as well as some of the attack combos that you can do to make this deck work. So anyways, back to the deck. So Maelstrom Reverse is another reverse unit introduced now into the Aqua Force clan. And he is actually supported by his old self, the original Maelstrom, and it follows the new plethora of cross-ride units. So Maelstrom Reverse also, like the original Maelstrom, focuses on having him attack the fourth or more and unlocking his really, really good skills. And in set 5th, and this deck is also supported by a whole bunch of cards that help achieve multiple attacks. That basically helps you achieve that 4 attacks in one turn to unlock Maelstrom Reverse's skill. So now with the idea of the deck out of the way, let's get to the deck profile. So for the starter, I run Blue Storm Cadet Marios. Not Mario, but Marios. So it's like plural of Mario. So there's multiple of him. So his skill is a Forerunner. Basically when you ride him, pull him out to the rear guard. When an attack hits a Vanguard during the battle that this unit boosted, if you have an Aqua Force Vanguard and if it is the third battle of that turn or more, look at 5 cards from the top of the deck, search for up to 1 card named Maelstrom in its card name from among them, reveal it to your opponent and put it in your hand, shuffle your deck. So basically he has to boost something and then hit a Vanguard, and that battle must be the third battle or more of that turn. And you basically have a chance to search for a Maelstrom for free. So look at top 5, search for Maelstrom, put in your hand for free, which is really good. Although he requires the downside of that is he requires early field setup, meaning that to make use of his skill, by turn 1 or 2, you ideally sort of commit your whole front row, so that you have at least 1, 2, 3 attacks when he boosts and hit. And the second condition is that he has to hit. So even though it's for free, it is something that is not exactly very easily achieved. And committing cards to your field early on can be a bit of a problem because number one, your hand size is small. Number two, your opponent has chances to actually retire units if it is a burning clan like Kagero or Norakami. But of course, rushing early has a good thing, which is you drain your opponent's hand. So let's start because, as I mentioned earlier, this deck runs Maelstrom, so he is really good. So you have both reverse and original Maelstrom to search for. So for grade 3s, I run 3 Maelstrom reverses. Yep, only 3. So his skill is a bit interesting. Counterblast, his skill is Counterblast 1 and choose one of your rearguards, rest it, and then lock it. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if it is the 4th battle or more of that turn or more, you may pay the cost. If you do, until the end of that battle, this unit gets 5k and 1 crit, and another skill auto. At the end of the battle that this unit attack, if the attack did not hit, you can draw a card and choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So the first skill is really good because it's sort of a combination of Maelstrom's original skill plus the break right. So this card is, I like cards. Okay, this card basically gives your opponent two choices: let it hit and take 2 crits to face, or guard it and I get to draw a card and I retire one of your units. So it's a very good. It's definitely a guaranteed +2 sort of, because your opponent will take 2 damage, which is like sort of a +3 to you, or you can draw one and opponent -1, so it's +2 to you. And the thing is, I like cards like this that has sort of, you know, 2 sides to it. Like, okay, number 1, choose this, that happens, or you choose this and that happens, which is so good. Like the original break right is like he gains a crit, so either you discard and not guard and get 2 crit to the face, or discard a card, and yeah. So I like cards that do that make your opponent choose, because it sort of messes with their mind. So yeah, so the next skill is a crossfight skill. Basically, if you melt the original Maelstrom in his soul, he gets 2k to the end of the turn. So he is your final boss you want to ride into, because he's number 1, he has a nice good 13k defense, and his skill is really nice. Although you really need to achieve the 4th attack to make use of his skill. So next grade 3 I run is 3 original Maelstroms. His skill is Limit Break 4. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, if it is the 4th battle of that turn or more, this unit gets 5k and a new skill auto. When this unit attack hits, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card and choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it, and with a cost of +1. So basically, his skill is, if it does not hit, you get to retire and draw. Similar to Maelstrom Reverse's skill, although Maelstrom Reverse's skill has a second thing about it, which is you gain a crit, which is nice. So pressure skills, basically skills that hit is so good. So him, hit, draw, retire. Him, don't hit, draw and retire. So good, so nice. So the thing is, most of the time, you won't use his skill. So by turn 3, ride him. If you have Maelstrom Reverse in your hand, ride Maelstrom Reverse straight away, because you want to make use of that 13k defense, as well as I think his skill is slightly better than his skill. Although both have the restriction of having to achieve the 4th attack, which is pretty easy with this deck. Next, I run 1 Glory Maelstrom. It's a little tech card. Basically, it's sort of a card to use late game, because his skill is Limit Break 5. Okay, basically you must have 5 damage. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, until the end of that battle, this guy gets 5k, and your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater units from his or her hand. So basically, Limit Break 5, attack, counter +1, he's 16k, and your opponent cannot guard with grade 1 or higher. He can only guard with grade 0. So in this sense, it prevents your opponent from using perfect guards or quintet walls, which is really good. And if your opponent has no grade 0s, well, bye-bye. So this is sort of a last resort card to use. When you have 5 damage, ride him and pressure your opponent's hand. Also, he's also a crossfight of Maelstrom, so if you have Maelstrom in his soul, he's also 13k base, which is very good for defense, like with Maelstrom Reverse. So I run him at 1. So in this deck, you have 7 Maelstrom cards, which kind of works well with the starter. Remember, with starter, you can search for Maelstrom. So early game, try to achieve his 3rd attack boost and hopefully hit. Search for any of these Maelstroms. Ideally, you want to search for him first, and then ride him first, and then you can ride any of these 2 later on and get that wonderful cross-ride body. Next, for the grade 3, I also run 2 Diamantis. To me, he's a really must-play for any Aquaforce deck, any current Aquaforce deck, because he is essential for achieving the multiple attacks of Aquaforce. So his skill is, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have an Aquaforce Vanguard, and if the battle is the first battle of that turn, this unit gains 2k until the end of that battle. And at the beginning of the close step of that battle, choose another of your Aquaforce rear guards in the same column as this unit, and exchange position with these units. So basically, he helps you achieve multiple attacks because you can swap a unit with him. So let's say you have something like this. Okay, he must be the first attacker. Okay, so because he has a restriction that is the first battle attack. That battle he gains 2k, so it's 11k attacker. So and he must attack a Vanguard. So attack Vanguard. After that, swap places. Then attack. So this way you can make 2 attacks with 1 column. So that's 1, 2, 3, and finally your Vanguard 4. Achieve your Maelstrom Reverse skill, or achieve your Maelstrom skill, which is the 4th battle of that turn or more. So yeah. So some of you may think, oh my gosh, you're running 10 grade 3s? Oh wait, is it 10 grade 3s? Oh sorry, 9 grade 3s? That's a lot! Well, the thing is, Aqua Force, as I mentioned, he splits columns and achieving multiple attacks. And because of that, Aqua Force rearguard attacks tends to be really weak. So you want access to as many attackers as possible. And having grade 3s, they're mostly 11k attackers. And having them, you know, be on the field, swap places and all that, and attack, is a good thing that you want to have. So running more grade 3s isn't actually a problem with this deck. So I can actually run 10 grade 3s if I want to, or even 9 is fine. I also you can, if you want to, you can actually add another Maelstrom Reverse, say Glory Maelstrom. So in the end you have 10 grade 3s, which I would say is not bad, because this deck, Aqua Force, really needs attackers, because as I mentioned earlier, you split up your columns, and your columns are kind of weaker because it has no boosters and all that. So yeah, you want access to more attackers. Anyways, next, for the grade 2s, I run this new card called Blue Storm Marine General Spyros. So he is a new multiple attack enabler, and his skill is a special counterblast 1. A special counterblast, Blue Storm in his card name. At the end of the battle, this unit attack a Vanguard. If you have a grade 3 or more greater Aqua Force Vanguard, and it is the first or second battle of that turn, you may play the cost. If you do, stand this unit. And this ability cannot be used for the rest of the turn. So basically, it's quite explanatory. He restands himself, and basically allows you to have more attacks. So the thing is, he must attack a Vanguard. Yeah, basically, yep. So what you do is you have to attack a Vanguard, and it has to be the first or second battle. A special counterblast 1, basically a card with Blue Storm, restand him. So he can kind of work with Diamantes. First attack, him, swap. Second attack, his skill still usable, restand, attack again. So now you've achieved 3 attacks with 1 column. Yay! But of course, he is kind of weak because he's 9k, and 9k attacks won't hit your opponent's 11k Vanguard. So yeah. But I run 4 because you want to have as many access. You want to have access to as many multiple attack enablers as possible, because you definitely want to get Maelstrom Reverses or Maelstrom skill off. If not, it is essentially a vanilla Vanguard. Next, I run 4 Tidal Assault. Also, what I think is like a new must for every Aqua Force deck. So his skill is, at the end of the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard, if you have an Aqua Force Vanguard, stand this unit, and this unit gets minus 5k at the end of turn. And this ability cannot be used for the rest of that turn. So he is very similar to Spyros, but instead his is free. He can restand straight away, but at a cost of minus 5k. So essentially what you do is attack Vanguard, restand, now he's a 4k. So most of the time, what you do is, okay, there's a trick to circumvent this, which I'll show you later. So yeah, another multiple attacker enabler. So you have 1, 2. Same thing with Diamantes, you can do 1, swap, 1, 2. So you have 3 attacks with 1 column. Next, I run 3 of the new Blue Storm Marine General Gregorius. Basically, he's a 12k attacker for Blue Storm. So if you have a Vanguard with Maelstrom in his, if you have a Vanguard with Blue Storm in his card name, he gains 3k when he attacks. So 12k attacker basically. And as I mentioned earlier, the reason I run him because Aqua Force rearguards, when you split them up, is really weak. So you want something that can at least hit a Vanguard. So having a 12k attacker can at least hit 11k Vanguards. But as you can notice, Aqua Force does really bad against cross rides. And now with a lot of cross rides running around, they can barely hit Vanguards nowadays, because most Vanguards are 13k base. Anyways, that's the grade 2. Let's go for grade 1s. So I run 3 Perfect Guard and 1 Quintet Wall. Now Perfect Guard because, you know, self-explanatory. Quintet Wall because it's just a little tech to have, you know, some way of guarding. But the thing is, I think I may not actually run him. But the thing is, he's in there because, once again, Blue Storm. and you need to have a special counterblast for him. Though this deck, right, the only card that uses a special counterblast is him, so you don't really, it's not really crucial to have Blue Storm in his deck. That's why you notice a lot of my cards are not Blue Storm. So next, we run another multiple attack enabler called the Wheel Assault. He is a really nice, really good, really fun, interesting techie card. Oops, sorry. So his skill is, at the end of the battle that this unit boosted, yes. If you have Aqua Force Vanguard, you may pay the cost, which is counter +1. If you do, choose 2 of your Aqua Force rearguards and exchange their positions. Yes, you can exchange any rearguard positions with any 2 basically. So basically, after he boosts, you can, for example, let's say you have something like this, you can swap them, blah. Or if it's one at front, one at back, you can swap them. Or you can even swap himself. So let's say you have another great one here. Okay, so you boost, use a skill, swap, blah. This is very useful to achieve multiple attacks, which I can show you at the end of this video with some nice tricks you can use. So next, I run an attack choice, Blue Storm Soldier, Tempest Blader. So her skill is, when this unit is placed on R, choose another of your unit with Blue Storm in its card name, and that unit gains 3k until end of turn. So she is, okay, the thing is she's a 6k booster, which is kind of a bad thing, but she is useful because you can give 3k to another Blue Storm unit, which helps you hit the next tier of barrier. For example, Spirius, he must attack a Vanguard, but since he's 9k won't really hit any 11k Vanguards. What you do is you call her out, boom, give 3k, so at least now he swings off 12k to Vanguard, use his skill, restand, attack boosted, so now it's 18k, at least now he can also hit a Crossrite Vanguard. So there, with this column, you achieve 2 attacks that can hit, both attacks can hit a 11k Vanguard, or at least one attack will hit a Crossrite Vanguard with a nice number. Yeah, so I run 3. Although the downside is that she only can give the power to Blue Storms, so you either give your 12k attacker, Spyros, or your Maelstroms. Nothing else can benefit from her 3k boost, which is kind of sad. Anyways, next I run 2 Light Sickness Penguin. Basically, his skill is, when you call him to rearguard, Soul Blast 2, draw a card. So he is useful to sort of help build some hand advantage, because Maelstrom does allow you to draw. If it does not hit, you can draw a card. But having something to help you draw more cards is always a good thing. So for trigger lineups, I run 5 stands, 3 crits, 4 draws, and 4 heals. Now this is an interesting trigger lineup, don't you think so? Well, this deck benefits a lot from stand triggers because, number 1, your Vanguard will most likely be the 4th attack of that turn. And most of the time, it's going to be the last attack of that turn. So having criticals is usually not as beneficial because if your opponent perfect guards, you have no way to give your critical effect to. At least if you have stands, you can restand your rear guards and have them attack again, because most likely all your rearguards will be rested by the time you attack with your Vanguard. And if you drive check a critical trigger, it is kind of wasted if your opponent sort of guards them. Yeah. So the thing is, previously I ran 8 stands and 4 draws and 4 heals, no crits. But if your opponent knows that you do not run crits, they will just no guard your Vanguard because they know that there's no pressure of getting criticals. So what they'll do is they'll guard early game, take the 2 crit to their face with Maelstrom reverse, and be safe. You don't get the draw, they don't get retired, and yeah, there's no pressure. So that's why I decided to slot in 3 criticals. So run 4 Blue Storm stands. Another one is not Blue Storm because there's no other Blue Storm stands. I run these 3 crits, not the Blue Storm crit, because this crit is very useful because his skill is that you put him in the soul, you can flip by damage, so you gain back Counter Blast. And I run this draws instead of the Blue Storm draw because her skill is very good. Put in the soul, give something 3k. So when you give something 3k, it helps you break another tier, because as I mentioned earlier, rearguards for Blue Storms are quite weak. Giving 3k at least helps them hit some Vanguards. Same reason why I run her. So but the thing is, she's more versatile, so you can give anyone 3k. So for example, him. When he attacks first time, 12k, hits Vanguard. Restand, minus 5k, so now he is a 6k. So at least 6k if he's boosted by a 7k booster. It still hits for 13k to a Crossfight Vanguard. But of course, if you don't have the 3k boost, you're swinging for 11k. Sorry, 14k to Crossfight Vanguard to hit Crossrights. So yeah, so this card really at least helps you be able to sort of hit Vanguards as well as help you against Crossright Vanguards. And for Blue Storm heals. So yeah, so this has been my deck profile of Maelstrom Reverse. Now let's get on to field setup as well as some combos you can achieve. Okay, so here is an ideal field setup you want to achieve when you have Maelstrom Reverse as your Vanguard. So ideally you want to have him, a switcher, okay? So either you have him or you have Wheel Assault to help you swap columns, swap numbers, that's one. Number two, you want a unit that can restand himself. And number three, you have finally you have a last column, which is a decent column. So in this case, we have this guy, Spiral, which is Blue Storm, and you have empty rearguard here. So you can call this guy out, give him 3k. So for this turn, this is the order of attack what you would want to do. His skill requires you to attack first. Attack 11k to a Vanguard. Next, swap place. Now you give 3k here, so he's a 12k attacker now. So attack Vanguard for 12k. Still hits. And his skill requires you to be first or second. So it still works as special counter blast 1. Block. Restand. Next, leave him be. Attack with this full column. So this is first, second, third column. Now it's 18k. So at least with a 6k booster and a 12k attacker, you hit a nice 18k, which is nice against Crossright. Now, your Vanguard attacks with the fourth battle. Now his skill requires you to counter blast 1, as well as rest and lock a rear guard. So what you do is you counter blast 1. Now the reason why I said ideally you want a self-restanding unit is because you can use him, a self-restanding unit as well as a swapper, so that you can at least use him as a cost for Maelstrom skill without sacrificing the booster. So what you do is counter blast 1, rest, and then lock. So now at least this column is attacking for, let's say, if it's Crossright, it's 23k column. If it's non-Crossright, it is 21k column. So at least you have a nice big column to pressure opponent with. So 21k to crit. He wants to guard it. Guards it. You draw a card. Retire a unit. Good. So if, for example, you do not have a self-restander, and let's just say you have a 12k attacker or a 11k attacker here, okay, and this time it attacks, it doesn't restand. So what happens is that you have 1, 2, 3, 4th attack. Most of the time, what people will do is they'll counter blast 1, rest and lock the Vanguard booster. This case, because Maelstrom skill allows him to gain 5k, so at least he's still swinging for 18 or 16k if it's not Crossright, which is still at least 15k to the pass. So it's still better than 10k to the pass. But ideally, as I mentioned earlier, you want a restander like this, or Tidal Assault. Attack, restand, rest, and lock. So at least now your Vanguard is boosted. So that is sort of the ideal field setup you want for Maelstrom Reverse. Okay, so now here is an alternative to, if you do not have Diamantis swapper, an alternative is to have Wheel Assault, which is also a swapper. I call it a column swapper. So this case, you want to have your grade 2 behind something. So at least when you swap, you have a grade 2 in front that is an interceptor. So first attack with this. Now second, attack with this, boosted by Wheel Assault. His skill, counter blast 1. So now at least you have a swapping column. Boom. Attack Vanguard, restand. Maelstrom reverse, attacks. Maelstrom reverse skill, counter blast 1, rest, and luck. So in this case, you also have a swapper plus a self restander, which then can make use of Maelstrom's skill and still have him being boosted. So that is an example of another column you can set up. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, Tidal Assault skill, when he restands, he minus 5k. So there is another way to sort of circumvent the problem of having him losing 5k and having him being boosted twice. The key is Will Assault. So what you do is, step 1, you have make sure one column has a decent attacker. So either a 12k attacker or a grade 3 11k attacker or something on that level, or a 9k with that has been powered up by her skill or your draw trigger skill. So at least, you know, he can attack unboosted. So you have an attacker, attack unboosted. Okay. Next, so that's 1. Next, attack with Tidal Assault boosted by Will Assault. That's attack number 2. So his skill restands. Now he minus 5k, he's now at 4k. Will Assault skill, counter blast 1. You can either swap the boosters around, or you can swap these 2 attackers. That way, Tidal Assault can then be boosted again. So now he is 4k plus 7k, 11k column can still hit the Vanguard. So that's the 3rd attack. Finally, you have your 4th attack. But in this situation, you are forced to rest and lock your Vanguard booster to achieve Maelstrom Reverser skill. But in this case, at least you have proper columns that can hit numbers. So yeah, that's one way to circumvent it. Or another setup you can do is this: if you're really desperate to have many attacks and you don't really care about Maelstrom skill. For example, let's say your counter blast is almost all used up, and you want to do something, you want to just dish out attacks after attacks in that moment of desperation, you can do this. Yes, I noticed it's a grade 2 behind here. First, this guy, then you swap, then attack with this guy, and then you attack with this guy. Skill, counter blast 1, swap this 2, attack again. Of course, now you have nothing to rest and lock for his skill, so which is kind of stupid. But if you're desperate for many attacks, here's a way to achieve it. So in this case, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks in this turn. Yay! In any case, the ideal field setup would be something like this: a column swapper, these 2, a self-restander, and a nice proper column. Of course, it is up to your own creativity of how well to use it, because there are many other field setups you can use for this deck to pull off the multiple 4 attacks. Yeah, this has been my Aqua Force Maelstrom Reverse deck. I hope you like it. Thumbs up if you find this video informative. Although it may be long, but I have to spend that last section talking about this. If you like my explanation of how the field works, do let me know as well, so that I'll continue doing it in the future for future deck profiles. And yeah, do comment. Any questions, leave them down below. Any suggestions, let me know as well. Any feedbacks, let me know as well. And also, of course, do subscribe if you like it. Yay! So this has been LJS. Thank you for watching. Thank you. And I'll see you guys next time.